אנו מכריזים בזאת
And today I'm going to speak to you, giving you the facts and figures related to the accusation that Israel has been causing a famine and people are starving in Gaza. I'm comparing what the United Nations themselves, they have the United Nations World Food Programme, issued statistics in last year in 2023, claiming that 2.2 million Palestinians in the Gaza Strip needed to be supplied by 3,287 trucks of food a week in order to survive. Now, putting aside the claim that there are 2.2 million Palestinians in Gaza, when the usual statistics on Wikipedia and other places would indicate closer to 1.8 and 2.2, let's extrapolate their figure over a 6-month period, say from the 8th of October to about April, 8th or slightly after October, and see exactly how much food Israel, and Israel only, allowed into Gaza. And for that, I needed the organization called COGAT, C-O-G-A-T, which is the Israeli government coordination company in what's called the territories or disputed areas such as Syria, Gaza, for instance, where we have helped Syrians and Palestinians cross the border and come into Israel for medical purposes and things like this. So COGAT have produced figures, are now producing it all the time, about the amount of food, water, fuel, medical care, things like this that flow into Gaza. So I'm looking at my notes and I'm making these figures from COGAT. I'm quoting their figures to start of the war for 6 months. We have provided, via Israel, 14,786 trucks, which amounted to 313,970 tons of food as of the 15th of April, as against the United Nations estimate of what was needed for 2.2 million Palestinians of 102,000 tons of food. According to my simple mathematics, that is 3 times the amount of food necessary to keep people alive in Gaza. So again, these are the figures that both your government and your media should know about if they are professional journalists. If I can find the figures, they can. And I would appeal to you to please to use this video, write down the figures, and question your media and your politicians if they make out again that we, Israel, are starving the poor people of Gaza. And just to corroborate what I'm saying, there are lots of pictures now showing the marketplaces in Gaza. I hope that Lawrence, my producer, will upload some of them onto this video as well, seeing that for weeks or months, in fact, the marketplaces have been full of fruit and sweet cakes and things like that. On top of that, there are also dozens of bakeries that are producing at least 2 million loaves of bread a day and have been for months for the people of Gaza. And the final thing I want to point out to you is actually on the beginning of April, a communique put out by the Popular Resistance Committee, which is a coalition of Hamas and the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, which announced price drops in Gaza. Now, this was in Arabic, but I'm going to read to you the equivalent in English. And it says, Gaza merchants said an average family can now buy products for a hearty meal with 100 shekels. That's the equivalent of $27. Compared with 200 shekels, that's $54, just a few days ago. Now, why did Hamas make this announcement with the Palestinian Islamic Jihad? Because the problem with the food is not in the delivery, but in the distribution. And who controls the distribution in Gaza? Not Israel. That is controlled by the United Nations and by Hamas. And actually, it's two of the same, because in fact, the United Nations warehousing system, as well as the UNRWA schools, are controlled and run and managed and operated by Hamas. So Hamas controls the food distribution in Gaza. So if there's a shortage somewhere, blame Hamas. But your media hasn't done that. Blame Hamas. But your government hasn't done that. In fact, the United States government are busy right now, as I'm speaking to you, building a jetty with United States soldiers building this so that their aid can be delivered via this jetty and given to who for distribution? Qatar. Qatar is the funder and supporter of Hamas. So who is Qatar going to come to for make sure of distribution? Possibly the United Nations, which again is run by Hamas. So you've got a vicious circle going there. We can deliver as much aid as you want. We're delivering 3 times the amount of food, not to mention medicine, water, fuel, and everything. But once it goes out of our control, we lose control. And if you hear of any shortages, that's not our fault. It's the fault of the United Nations and Hamas and your government for allowing this to happen. These are the facts that you should share. This is Barry Shaw, The View from Israel.
אנו מכריזים בזאת